So once that's taken place there, you know, um, then I kind of ignore the 4 hour chart. It kind of gives me like a little bit of a range or places for an entry or for an exit, um, and it also helped kind of determine that range. So it was actually swept earlier a couple times here in the morning before we got there. So by this time, I would have ignored this because it's already been swept. So for me, when it gets swept, it's no longer like as trustworthy as being a level to use. So going back over to our 4 hour chart, oops, here we go. So the morning happens, and this is our 6 p.m. candle from last night on the Asia session. So at the end of the day, I'm going to basically remove those because they've been swept, this candle. And then I will actually add the new levels in for tonight. Okay. And I just drag those down to my 6 p.m. folder, 6 a.m., 6 p.m. folder. I click lock on it, I click save. Now that's the level I'm interested in right here for Asia is 644. Our other levels of interest for Asia are going to be 554 and 797. Now, tomorrow we got PCE, so I'm kind of expecting consolidation. Um, so I'm thinking that the 644 is obviously the most likely for one, but I don't think the other levels are going to be swept. I could be totally wrong, but again, risk management is the most important thing. So, so if we go back in here and now we look at our 10 a.m.s, okay, and we will open our chart, swap this over to 10 a.m. and there's our 10 a.m. levels, and 10 a.m. is right here. So mark that out for everyone so they can see it. There's 10 a.m. So notice that we respected this level and we're respecting this level. And it kind of gives you an idea. And then if you look here, we got to that right there. Now there's something of note right here that um, in a bullish trend, uh, in a bullish trend, it's down here. When you see this, okay, we got a bullish trend going on our 4 hour chart, and we come up to a level and we don't sweep it, but we come within like I'd say I think the sweet spot is around 8 points. And I want you to see that we came 2 ticks from that level. And what I've noticed is in a bullish trend, when this happens, I usually like to wait 15 to 20 minutes. So that would have been 12:01. So here or here, this is where I would start to get interested in fading, or not fading, but extension off of this move. Because usually what I noticed is in the bullish trend, when we get this kind of a signature, we, at least for right now, we've been getting 100+ point move. So if we look here, let's just go to like a 5 minute chart. Hold this on. So here's our level, 654-ish, and here we are down 150 points. So usually when I see this signature, I start to look about maybe 15 to 30 minutes later. I look for the down close of this to extend 100+ points, basically. Um, this actually happened during our next 4 hour candle, about 20 minutes into it. Um, but that's a signature that I notice a lot in a 4 hour bullish trend. And then you can see here that during that time frame, we did not sweep these levels. And if you notice here, here's that 500 level, 505. We came within 8 points, and here we are up 150 points. So it's the same signature here to here. So how would you use this? Okay, well, I'd be looking for a pullback about 20 to 30 minutes later to catch this move up to here. And so I think about 100 points is the sweet spot. So if you're right here, and if we get into like a 3-minute chart, here's that. Here's our entry right here. Okay, and then you want to use this with confluence, other things that you use to trade. So I know my chart's a little messy. I have ADHD, and I'm one of those people that um, I thrive on data. Like I just suck it up. So for me, this doesn't seem so busy, and if it's too busy for y'all, I can turn off all kinds of stuff for you. Let's just turn off everything, make it a little easier for the eyes. All right, a little better for it. So you can see our signature. We came within 8 points of that level during the time frame, and our entry is somewhere up in here. And then you catch the last half of this. And usually when I see this, I usually target the next 4H level above that. So that's where I would have gotten out, was right here, that 649.25. Now, if we continue on over, we didn't sweep that level for the rest of the day. So if we go back to our 4-hour chart, oops, and we look at this again. Okay, so end of day, this is what I'm doing. I'm looking at this and going, okay, we swept this level. I'll remove it. We didn't sweep this level. Now I go back in, add my levels for tonight and tomorrow. I drag them on down to my 10 a.m., 10 p.m. folder. I lock it, click save. Okay, so this is now ready for 10 p.m. tonight. These are the levels of interest. Why didn't I remove this one? Well, it didn't touch it. Okay, so that level is still valid. So I would say tonight during Asia, this level and this level at 10 p.m. from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. This is the range I'm super interested in, because candles like to paint over their previous 4-hour candle that matches them. So, and I don't look at it for 6 a.m. and 6 a.m. I look at it as 6 a.m., 6 p.m., and either a 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. can sweep either or type of thing. Now, when we look at the rest of the afternoon, and swap over into our 2 p.m., right? There's something of note here. A couple things. This green line that you see that's extended all the way back over to right here, which is November 10th. Okay, that is 5:30. And if I look right here, we did not sweep that level. We came 3 ticks from it, 530.75. Okay, so this didn't get overwrote because nothing here swept that candle yet. So when this happens and I've got a line that's like this, and it's going through price that's overrode it by other candles, this is a high confluence candle. When we get over here, it becomes more of like, hey, this is something that we've overwrote, but with other candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, 11 times. It starts to become higher probability that we're going to sweep this area. So when we go to our 1-minute chart and turn.
And I think the key thing on that, Addy, is that narrows down when it's going to be swept, which is within that 2 p.m. 4-hour candle, which is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. It narrows down what time of day we should be looking at it.
Yeah.
And I got the wrong thing. Okay. That still didn't want to do it. Just a second. So this was high confluence for this afternoon because it's like, hey, this thing's been overwrote 10, 11 times, but hasn't been swept by the same candle. So this was a high probability for this to happen. And here we are, 15 minutes, 18 minutes into the 2 p.m. candle, and here it is getting swept right here. Now, something else to take note here is this is how accurate these 4-hour candles are. Is here's our level 25, 489, 75. Not one single 1 minute candle closed below that. So that's kind of like another signature to tell you, hey, we've swept the liquidity. We're no longer interested and may go somewhere else, which in this case, we swept PM open, which is right here. So when you're looking at your chart and you've got these levels up, you can kind of it gives you a range to work with, gives you some targets to work with, gives you some areas of entry. Before we got it, I missed this move altogether. And the reason why is we we had this uh, 9 a.m. candle up here, or 10 a.m. candle, sorry, up here, and we had midnight, and we have this wickless right here. I was expecting a run back to at least sweep this wickless and possibly tap midnight before going short. So I was actually in a long, like right here somewhere, and I ended up getting stopped out like right here. And then I ended up having to go do some work, like calls, and I missed this. I think I showed up right around here somewhere, and I was just like, oh man, there's nothing, there's nothing here for me. So I'll just catch it. I'll catch another move another time. Um, so going into that now, um, the other high confluence here for the afternoon. So I did catch this move right here into the close into PM open. The reasoning for that was we really didn't sweep PM open other than a couple minutes in. So, and the fact that we left no close below here, it kind of gave me a good idea that we were going to run up and close, and that this right here would be my stop entry. So I was looking at 67 to 51, about an 18-point stop. So the chart I provided, uh, get back over to it here. So now that we've swept those levels, I'm going to remove those from my chart. That one that's been there for high confluence is now gone. And I'll add my new level, not 10.
And you're just marking off the opens and closes.
I'm just marking off the opens and closes. I take those, drag them down to my folder of interest. I lock it, I save it, and it's ready to go for this evening. So now that we're in that maintenance hour, I'm going to pull open the levels that are pertinent to the next candle. I'm going to click save. Now what I've done on these folders is if you want to use this in your own charting, um, you can make a copy of it, which will then allow you to edit it. Okay. And then once you get this on yours and you've saved it, you can click on these folders and you can say sync globally on all three of these folders. And then these lines show up on your lower time frame charts. So that way all I have to do is go over to my object tree, and I can just say, oh, I don't want to look at that anymore. I want to look at the 2 p.m. or I want to look at 10 a.m. and so on, and it'll just put them right on the chart for me. So then I have it visually in front of me, and I don't have to actually look at this chart anymore during the day. So I do this at the open and the close every day. So I basically, for the next 12 hours, I have all my levels marked. And depending on which candle we're on, I just swap my folder over. My trade evade occasionally. Occasionally won't let me like change it or whatever. I just hit refresh and it fixes that problem. So
One thing that you brought up that I think is a really key point because I didn't pay attention to this, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Um, is that the reoccurrence of once a level is traded to, when you're talking about just a open and close of the body, that that doesn't become a significant pivot point anymore. And so I'm going to have to look at that some more because I'm seeing what you're talking about, and that I think that adds another really important and key aspect to the whole 4-hour time theory and its cyclical action.
Yeah, it's cycle. It's a cycle, and
Hmm.
being able to identify that. And to answer Mountain's question, the reason why I had the uh, I guess the idea to go long into the close was we had swept that low down here and refused to go to it. We came all the way up here. We did not get um, to the PM open, and so I felt it was kind of I felt that was our draw. And because we just kind of like hung right here and refusing to go lower, and we left this little tiny bit of fair value gap left open here. Market. If you look right here, we basically hit CE of this 1 minute fair value gap, came back off of it, and then did not want to go back down to that. So this was an idea here was okay, um, if I can target PMO, this is a good 50-point move. And my risk here is somewhere, I want to say I got in somewhere right here. So my risk was basically 51 to 70. So basically a 20 to 30 point risk. And I'm looking at about, so we can actually get to it. Let's change the color on that to black. So we were looking at 621. So from 670 or 570 to 621, that's a 50-point move. That's almost a 2-to-1 risk ratio. So if I'm wrong, I'm going to stop out down here at this low because this should be a protected low. And so that was the idea of the trade. So it was just a matter of waiting for that pullback and then targeting PMO. I know on stream, Gradient was short, and you can go back in there and you can see that that I said numerous times that I think that we would probably sweep PMO before we decide to go lower, but really wasn't looking to go any lower because the respect that it gave this level down here, it didn't close anything below um, that that 2 p.m. or 2 candle 4-hour target. So, but yeah, if anyone else has got, um, I have I use about 6 or 7 different models. I do a lot of scalping, but I use the 4-hour time theory to kind of give confluence to my trades, and especially trades where I think that that's the draw on liquidity. It gives me the confidence to possibly hold those runners to that target, and then just go break even or move your stop up. I mean, when we were over here during lunch, and I got long right in here somewhere, thinking that we were going to sweep this wick list before going down. We came dang close, but at a certain point, I moved my stop up because I was like, man, I've been sitting in this trade for, I think it was over here. I was sitting in this trade for a long time. And somebody like me who's usually maybe in a trade for mm, longer trades or maybe 30 minutes, it was like an eternity. So it was like, okay, I just need to move my stop and be good with it. So, and yeah, I missed the play of the day, but it is what it is. Do we got any other questions?
Rack bar, I think
Yeah.
also like what Adrian said too with his with his 4-hour model with the 5-minute manipulation and then the standard deviations off that. This is another model that just allows you to capture a 4-hour candle. And so the potential for a lot of points is always there.
Yeah, 100%. And then, like Sabi's saying down here, I had that level before the V recovery as a 1 hour fair value gap bottom. He got along on that and wrote it up. Nice to know that I had my charting right. Well, to expand on that, Sabi, the idea here is to uh, use the 4 hour time theory to give confluence and um, more confidence in the other information that you're using, so that you can grab these bigger trades when they show up, or maybe stay out of a trade because the liquidity's been swept, or um, staying out of that FOMO. So when you look at this, the old me from a couple of years ago, I've been like going short down here and then getting wrecked. Um, so when Kaizen shared this with me last year, this is what really improved my trading as a whole. So, and by no means am I perfect or any way, shape, or form on this, but I know that it's definitely been a game changer for me. So, and I try to use every little bit of information to give me a little bit of an edge.
And the what was interesting about this today's trade too, that short, because I was in the short. If you look at the 4-hour candle, it would be the December 3rd 10 a.m. candle. That the low of that wick basically sits right at the close of that 2 a.m. candle.
Yeah,
And so for me, because we were in that 4-hour candle, we had a lot of time left. Um, that was what I was hunting for the 4-hour candle. So, and I posted that 4-hour chart in my channel where I said I want to see this swept.
yep,
It ended up happening in the 2 p.m. candle, but again, to what Addy was saying is that 2 a.m. close hadn't been touched yet by another 2 o'clock candle. And so price happens to wait for the 2 p.m. candle to start. And that's where we get the huge move down and then the V move back up. And so really you had kind of two levels swept in that one candle. You had a 4-hour low put in, or a 4-hour low that was swept on that 10 a.m. candle, but it also hit, your 4-hour time theory level of a previous 2 o'clock close that hadn't been touched before. And I again, I really like that you brought that up, and then makes a massive move off of that.
yeah, exactly. And um, I think that was also a level. Or who's your person that's off? I
It
think
was
that was
also the
also
start of, yeah, it was also a,
oh, that's Friday.
yeah, that's Thursday, Friday candle. So that's kind of the holidays always kind of mess that up. But it also started where
Yeah,
that the Thursday inverse fair value gap was.
gotcha. And you've got this right here. So it's up that level. That's 488 as well, if you see.
I
So
did notice
this,
too on the daily that the daily does that as well.
hmm,
When you don't have a level swept on the day, it'll come back for those levels. So like
yeah, because
if you just want
I
to take
wasn't.
Thursday, if you look left on your chart, that little Thursday candle before the major gap up, all the way to the left in your chart.
This
Yeah,
one.
yep, yeah. Or what's your is that your Thursday's purple for you, right?
Uh, it's it's um it's Orange, or no, yeah, purple. Yep,
Yeah.
purple. So you're
So
looking
that,
at this one?
yep. So that Thursday comes and sweeps the top of that, and then the next Thursday comes and sweeps the bottom.
Yeah,
Boom,
100%.
boom. And I noticed there's a lot of overlap like that as well with the daily time theory stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I
so
see
again,
exactly where you're coming.
yep, so really great confluence. That's that same idea that you're talking about, using it on the daily allows for like daily targets basically. So I'm gonna pay more attention to levels that have been swept and levels that haven't. So that way I don't have to have so many lines on the chart as well. So thanks, Addy. I appreciate that insight that you shared.
Yeah. Um, any other questions that I can maybe answer for somebody, or just kind of give everybody a little bit of
Daily is the
knowledge?
same premise as 4 hour. 4 hours what I first started seeing these cycles on, and then I started seeing it on the daily as well. So the same thing that Addy just talked about on the 4 hour is happening on the daily as well, where the days of the week are looking to return to previous days of the week and those levels that haven't been swept or need to be swept. It's just you got 5 days of the week versus the three pairs of 4 hour candles.
Yeah.
But same exact theory.
Okay. It's just determining which one is it's the same type of thing when you're looking at the 4 hour. It's determining which 4 hour levels are pertinent. You know,
Yes. And I think what you shared is actually the gem to that.
see here, what else we got
So
here?
like if you looked on the daily right now, Thursday, this is gonna go with exactly what you're talking about on the 4 hour. And we're gonna take today's candle. Okay. So if you look at the Thursday
If you
who's
want,
hot,
you can share your screen if it makes it easier for you.
okay, that's fine. And
Uh,
I'll let you finish up with anything first, so
yeah, let me
we don't
see
have to
what
jump back and forth.
2 p.m. candle never got swept on NQ, by the way. Yeah, so there are going to be minor differences between NQ and MNQ. I don't trade NQ, micros, and being able to manage my size a little better. Um, but this does pretty much work the same way on NQ. So yeah, so Joe, I just go in every day and the chart again. So at the close, I go back in and remove the levels that have been swept. So this level right here, get it real big so you can see it. This was the level this morning, so I'll put it on here. See that? And this got swept. So this afternoon, about this time, I'm going to remove that level. This level did not get swept, and we can see that right here. It didn't take it. That level remains, and then there's nothing got swept down here. So then I add my new level here and here, and then I move it to my folder, click save, and move on to my next time. Here's 6. So this got swept in this wick right here. So when you look at this in a bigger time frame picture, these are all the 4 hour levels I have marked on this chart. So I'm never blind when we get there. I know what I'm looking for. And some of these we're never going to revisit. Um, because I mean, look at how much price there's been moved here. So if you scroll back in time, look at we've had all this built up over here, and some of these levels then get swept, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and we swept all of that. So there's still levels down here that never going to get swept, but the idea is just the same, just to kind of give everyone an idea. The only crappy part about this is um, when we switch to the new contract, I have to blow all this away and spend about an hour putting all the levels back on here for the new contract. So, so- okay, cool. Yeah, Darius, for sure. Yeah, it's the same theory that's been making Kaizen's bank. Yep, for sure. He's piling up that loot. So if you're trading NQ, um, I would say that if you're just trading NQ, treat it as its own thing. If that level gets swept, then I would take it off. That would be my opinion. Why there isn't an automated way to do this? Yeah. Um, I haven't gotten around to making an indicator on it yet. Uh, I might look into doing that in the future. Got some skills. I'll see if there's a way I can do that. I think the difficulty is getting it to um, globally sync across all your charts. I think is where the indicator might have some issues. I think I'm going to let you share your screen and go over what you wanted to, Kaizen. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate it. I think that part of the beauty of Kingline and having a solid group of people is having that think tank capability. And when ideas are shared across, multiple minds, someone is always going to see something a little bit different or pick up on something that someone else doesn't. And that's how it becomes stronger, more efficient, and even better down the road. So I always welcome anyone to do that and add in their 2 cents.
Yeah, just like this afternoon. I know Anya. I wasn't in the stream, but I kind of watched the chat a little bit, and it seemed like you and Anya were looking for lower, and I was in a long. And I was just thinking at the time, I was like, I think we're going to get a manipulation up to that wick list, and I just didn't get it. I got close. I just didn't get it. That wick list was
Yeah, it saved it for later.
it's right here. It came so close to it, and I think I had gotten in long somewhere around here, and it came down, chop, came down, almost stopped me out, and then finally started making that move up, and then when it kind of rejected right here, I thought I need to move my stop, and I moved my stop way down from break even because after it came down here and then came back up, I moved it to break even, and then when we got close, I was like, I just need to bag this just to make sure. I want to say it stopped me out on this black. If you're wondering what this yellow thing is, that's new day open. So yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Kaizen. I appreciate everyone, and again, happy holidays. And as always, your Kingline #1 salesman. Don't forget to use code Kingline.
Awesome, Addy. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm gonna jump off or leave the stage. You can have it.
All right. Let me screen share real quick. I'm just going to touch on what what you did just on the daily. 'Cause I think that's a huge piece that Imma start, keeping an eye out for. So just like Addie was talking about on the 4-hour, here we have the daily chart. Um, and I would always mark, like, highs and lows, obviously, because they are, um, pivot points, especially when we get into the higher time frame, 4-hour and above, even on the 1-hour. But, what Addie was talking about, how price comes close to a level, and so eventually it's gonna come back for that level as it's not been touched. If we just take a look at this Thursday open, these Thursdays are actually a great example of that, where this Thursday comes all the way up here and gets within 9 points. And this is what he was talking about on the 4-hour, where typically when it gets close to this level, and he said 8 or 9 points or so, and then we see a move away, and we get that right here. And then as price cycles back around, this Thursday, we get the rejection from this Thursday open that this Thursday didn't tag. And so that this level, as I had marked the high, and what it appears is that this high was ran and then rejected. I think that what Addie's talking about is probably actually going to be more accurate for these rotations and the time theories of how specific the levels are. It actually tags this. So the opening price is, we got 732, and what do we get on the high? 732.50. So that now kind of narrows down what we can expect for levels. So I think that's pretty awesome. Let me get rid of some of these fibs, just clean up the chart real quick. Let's see. So this level did not get tagged. It was pretty interesting. Again, it came super close, and you get the massive push away. And then here I'm looking at, well, we tagged, this was part of my short target. Oh, we tagged the Thursday inverse fair value gap. So it's very interesting how these levels like all kind of gel together and almost creating an illusion. But I think this is the next layer of the illusion, is the actual parts of the candle body that haven't been tagged by the specific day. And you can see these examples where this is what I was having Addy show out on his other chart. This goes right to what he was talking about on the 4-hour, but on the daily level. Comes down, this never gets tagged, and this Thursday. So when we're looking for, and this is good to know, because when we're looking for, like, oh, I'd like to see the low of this wick get ran as this is barreling down here. Well, if we look at this previous candle body, it was tagged by this Thursday. This is the level that's not tagged, so the wick becomes irrelevant, and this is our target. Yeah, I have an indicator that color codes each daily, same as the 4-hour. So pretty awesome view on price and being able to come up with very specific targets on each day of the week and for each 4-hour candle set, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And now that Addie's brought to light about previous ones being tagged and not, um, that's going to alleviate a lot of the lines on the screen and make it so that it narrows down where you're looking for. Does anyone kind of get what's been said so far? Gosh dang it. I didn't reset my screen. So Thursday's done. So we have Friday levels that are what we would be looking at. And so if we were to go to the only problem with holidays is that throws a little bit of kind of a loop in the daily because I'm not sure if it's going to count this as a Friday level. It's showing as Friday, but it's showing colored as a Thursday. So it says Friday, so it's possibly that this is could be a Friday level. Um, but this is 2 days combined. So that's the only thing that throws a little bit of a wrench into things. Otherwise, if we're going based off of what hasn't been tagged, there's quite a few points for Friday. So this is your nearest untagged above, and here's your nearest untagged below. As we can see that this Friday did not reach up into this level. So this level's been tagged. This level's open. This level's open. This level's open. This level's open. And then we got this level open up here. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, okay, now look at what's the most obvious ones that would be used. So I think tomorrow is NFP. So there's a high possibility that we have a lot of volatility and whichever direction price decides to send. I feel like this grind up is just setting up for a move down. Um, I also posted this. I don't want to get anyone. Oh, there's no NFP tomorrow? Oh, well, that changes a lot then. Okay, PCE. So next week, I think our biggest news is Wednesday FMOC, right? FOMC. Yeah, man, they're really throwing things off with. I was chatting with your Maya bot, and I was just saying that this is very suspicious to me. Typically, when we have a low set in and price is going to like make a move higher, the low gets put in, it creates a false high, it comes back at least to this area of discount, whether it's uh, zero point 0.5, 618, 0.79, and then moves higher. We got zero return to this area. So for me, that's just a little like suspect. Like why do we leave this range without not even like not even a day later or 2 days later? Just we left and just kind of did this little grind up. So yeah, we'll see. Oh, sorry. This recording is going to be kind of jacked up. I'm gonna just have to warn you guys now. If you go to settings and you just look at a specific day of the week, you white out all the other ones. It almost becomes very fascinating how you can see like Mondays start to almost close in where there's gaps in the Mondays, right? So like from this Monday to this Monday, there's all this gap of like no Monday. And then from this Monday to this Monday, there's this small gap. And then you have this one Monday here that comes and fills in this gap and comes all the way down and fills in the gap between these 3 Mondays. And then there's a gap from this Monday to this Monday, almost like just like candles, like fair value gaps. And you extend that across, and it's like these Mondays fill in where previous Mondays never really touched with candle bodies. It's super fascinating to me. And you and it doesn't happen like where it has to do it all the time, but it is kind of interesting where you get candles start to like kind of fill in and close the gap of like previous days. So, and that probably has to do with um, certain levels being hit, like Addie was talking about. So, go fill these back in. We could. I'm probably going to be looking at this Friday for a level. Looks like we have this Friday right here too, possibly, depending on if. Yeah, here we go. So here's our next So even if they use this holiday day as a Friday, um, this one hasn't been touched by Friday either. So I'm hoping maybe something like this, and then finishes off the week just a little bit higher, or hits this and rejects. And then this on the weekly, I'd like to see this void filled in with the weekly. And either we're going to push higher, or we're going to have this as just a rebalance. And then next week with the big news, push lower. Yeah, there's, yeah, I don't know. Uh, Honestly, I almost don't even like talking about like what ifs anymore, just because of this, how December's started off. So it's like I really don't want to get tied up in any bias. Um, just looking at the weekly, I know that if this weekly finishes up here, then this gap will be filled with both sides now. So we'll have candle body. We already have the down close candle body. We have wick through it, and then we get an up close candle body. Um, yeah, is it possible that we just keep punching higher? Yeah, totally. I mean, the market does not have to be rational ever, and that's always the saying. It's like the markets can remain irrational longer than people can stay solvent. And so don't try to rationalize the market. We can make guesses. Like I said, like I showed on the 4 hour and whatnot, and this just might be the type of price action where it just slowly grinds up and then we break out to all-time highs. That's 100% possible. You know what I mean? That would be, I mean, look at, we've had that in the past here where we just slowly just keep grinding up, and you see all this liquidity being built and we never get, nothing ever gets ran. So, it seems like that there would be some sort of rug pull at some point. Um, is this making a like a head and shoulders? And then does Jay Powell surprise everyone and say, I still don't like inflation, no rate cut, and they send the market lower from that? Yeah, it's possible. But also with all these earnings, like all these companies are still doing well. So that's why it's hard to really say like, oh well, you can make a good argument for either side. So, and I think that just ties back into like using 4 hour and daily time theory. When you have these levels, you should be able to capture a decent amount of points if you're, using strict risk management, and being patient for these 4 hour candles to open, and looking at some daily levels too. And when you get confluence of both, of multiple things, that's usually a high probability setup. Oh, there we go. Finally was able to reset this. Yeah, so it's just the same. The theory is that day of the week will search for levels that are of the same day of the week. And same thing with the 4-hour. That's why I have them color coded. So you know that these pairs of candles are going to hunt for levels of the same time frame. So like another good example right here is this open doesn't get tagged, but then this next 10 p.m. candle tags both of these. And so you're looking for reactions. And sometimes when the 4-hour consolidates like this, it's not always it's not always going to give you like an A plus setup, especially when we have, I don't like when the 4 hours like this. A lot of wicks, very small bodies, like lots of overlap. But, there are plays like this, and these are the things that we set up for. So here's your 10 p.m. open, and we get a nice reaction from the 10 a.m. candle, grabs this level, and then rejects all the way back up. So 164 points, just the wick alone. And this gives you a good time aspect. That's the part that is the most important, I think. So instead of like, oh, I want this candle to come back down into this order block, just using structure alone, it's will this 2 a.m. fair value gapped, if this didn't come down here, with a 2 p.m. candle tag this fair value gap, which might be this level being taken out, but it happens to come back into here and then go up. And they use the 10 a.m. candle. So when one candle doesn't do it, there's a reason why that's not happening. So like I wanted to see this get tagged. Okay, it did not, and I was hunting this, but knowing what Addy brought up, this candle comes down and tags this level right here, which coincidentally sweeps a 4-hour low. But this was the target, 2 p.m., 2 a.m. close. Oh, let's look at it. So NQ does tag this level. What NQ didn't tag was this 4-hour low, but the 4-hour theory played true. Hey, what's up, Prince? So what Addy brought up was that the opens and the close, basically the bodies, are levels that, yes, yes, the highs can come into play because I think that I see that a lot too. So like if we went right back up here, because these are things I look for as well, right? So here we have a 2 p.m. candle. Okay, the high and the low. This 2 p.m. candle gets swept by the 2 a.m. high, and then the low gets swept by the 2 a.m. low. Okay. I still take trades based off of this theory as well, that they hunt highs and lows of the same candle. I think what Addy added adds another layer, which allows when the candle body levels are swept, then we don't need to worry about them being a pertinent place for price wanting to be drawn to. So that same theory, I mean, we can use it for this, and it'd have to be back tested. But I do see this signature happen all the time, where when we have like this kind of creates a high within this little area of price, right? Where we have multiple candles that it's not just like a high and then staggering down, or it's a 3-bar high basically. This same time frame runs this high. So this would be a trade where if I marked out this high, if I'm trading London, or I don't know which way it went first, maybe it went down here first, I can mark out this level. Okay, we get another 4-hour low that gets swept. I would be targeting this 2 p.m. high as the target for this 2 a.m. candle, because I'd want to see this 2 a.m. candle hunt liquidity targets of similar time frame. So 2 p.m. or another 2 a.m. candle. Well, this is the highest high over here. Does that make sense? And so then to add on to that, we have a level that has not been swept by another 2 o'clock candle. Yes, it's been tagged by other candles. To what Addy was saying, now then we get the 2 p.m. candle that sweeps this target. And now this particular target is not as valuable to us as it was right here. So when the next 6 o'clock candle opens up, and we can see that everything from here has been swept. Okay, the only 6 o'clock candle points that really haven't been swept are going to be right here and here. That's nearby us. This has been swept. This has been swept. So then it's here within close proximity. It is here. Opening price. And I like to see highs targeted or lows. So now adding to what Addie was talking about, I don't need to mark out other openings or closes on these because they've already been utilized. So now I can mark out the ones that haven't, and pertinent areas like this high would be a pertinent high for price to drive upon, right? You guys can still hear? Okay, just a few people having audio difficulties. So then this would make sense for this kind of action in price where we have a gap up, and I know this was um, the freeze, but we have a gap up, price drives back down because technically this level wasn't ran. And then boom, we run the bottom of this with this Monday open, right? So this wasn't ran and this wasn't ran. So these two levels weren't ran. Now what it appears like is that this high becomes the target, but it was probably mostly running these two levels that had not been targeted at all. And then it just goes into a previous 4-hour high. So, and there's going to be price action like this where you're going to look at an area and really nothing really lines up. Like as we look at all this, other than like a previous high, right? This create a previous high, then price expands up. Yeah, exactly. And so this is the kind of stuff where when the 4-hour is doing stuff like this, that like alerts me that I need to be very careful with price action because it's not giving clean setups. I mean, we could look at if you want to look at this as like an order block, that would be the only clean setup I would see out of this, but it doesn't pertain to like there's no very specific point that this comes down and touches that correlates to these other candles. You know, I'm sure that there's some place to like look back to and you can make it work. But for the ease of taking plays in the moment and what's in the current cycle of price, that's really what we're looking for. So this right here is when we actually get a decent like 4-hour setup. And so here's your unswept level. Takes out an open and a close. And then we get a massive move up. And this level gets targeted, as this hasn't been targeted by another 10 o'clock candle. So a lot of this stuff, all this tells me is that I just need to be patient. This kind of stuff too, though, I would look at, whereas this is a nice high and kind of like the same thing that Addy was talking about. If a level comes very close but then doesn't touch it and you give it, 20 minutes and we're not driving through, then I'd be looking for, to long this. Where I would take this to would probably have to be on some sort of higher time frame, because again, when price action looks like this and there's not clean levels for me to target, yeah, I could probably target this high and have this as a runner, but you get this massive retracement back down here. So then this would have stopped out any runner, this wick down. Um, Friday, like I said, I just want to see the week close. All right, so this level tagged. We could see an initial reaction off of this, and this is wickless, so it might come back down to make throw a wick in here. Basically, on the weekly, I want to see this gap completely filled in for the week. So I want to see this close somewhere like pretty much filling this whole thing in with a green up close candle. So that would be ideal. It's recorded, the whole thing. I'll throw it up. I'm probably gonna hop off here if there's no further questions around what me and Addy talked about. We'll have a yeah, you're welcome, guys. I'm sure Addy will be able to like he'll post stuff in the chat in regards to it. He does pretty frequently. I'll try to post more examples in my channel when I take them, just to kind of reiterate what we were talking about and to show you how this model gets traded. Cool, cool. Yeah, Mike, it got recorded. All right, no problem. Oh yeah, I appreciate it, Addy. Like I said, I think the more that people uh, can think tank stuff and maybe see another angle that I myself or someone else missed, the better it's going to become and the better it is for everybody. So I think that's one of the great places of things that Kingline offers is there's a lot of brilliant minds in here that have a lot to offer. So okay, I'll uh I'll try to post more charts on that. I've been sleeping in just because I had my recent surgery, but I feel like I'm on the up and up, so I'll probably start waking up early again. Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else, then I'm gonna hop off.